We're going to work on paraphrasing a poem in this lesson, which means putting the text into your own words. So when you paraphrase, you want to put it into your own words to better understand it. So you're going to have to look up words you don't know and insert synonyms that you do know. In a poem, you want to paraphrase and complete thoughts. You got to pay attention to the punctuation and reading complete sentences rather than pausing at the end of each line, which is a habit for some reason students get into. Our brains are wired to think in complete thoughts. So when you separate the complete thoughts with that by pausing at the end of each line, then you're not allowing yourself to understand it like you should. So we're going to go through a poem, Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. This is a World War I poem, so pay attention. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs and toward our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep. Many had lost their boots but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. So there's several short, choppy parts of the sentences here, so you want to try to break them down and put them all together. So the first complete thought ending at trudge there, I said the soldiers are exhausted and trudging through the horrendous conditions of the battlefield, and they turn around to go back to camp. So that's our first complete thought. The next one, there's a couple short sentences, but I kind of combined all those because they do all relate to one another. So I said, men were bloody and in terrible shape, but they continued marching on. Everything was a blur, and they didn't even pay attention to the gas shells going off around them. I didn't really know what gas shells were, so I looked that up and found that these were shells fired containing poisonous gas during World War I. So that's the first part of the poem, the first stanza, so we'll go on to the next. Gas, gas, quick boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone still was yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams before my helpless sight he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. So the first part of this stanza ending at lime, that's our first complete thought. So I said gas shells are fired at the soldiers and most get their masks on in time, but some of them don't and are staggering around, and the speaker watches someone dying from the gas. And then going on from that, the soldier, the speaker saw dying haunts his dreams, and he still sees the moment vividly, and you can see that imagery of him guttering, choking, and drowning. So that's the second part. The last part of the poem is the stanza. If, in some smothering dreams, you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cut of vile, incurable sores of an innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. So this stanza is very complicated, and there's a lot of interrupters with extra information and imagery going on. So you want to break it down. I broke it down the first part ending at tongues. I said the speaker of the poem speaks directly to the audience, telling them that if they could see this horrible death that this soldier is dying from, then it kind of stops, and then we have all this extra stuff. So I looked up a couple words in the middle there. Zest meaning great enthusiasm, ardent mean enthusiastic or passionate. So then the last part of the stanza, he finishes the thought from the top. He's basically saying, if you would have seen what I have seen, you wouldn't enthusiastically tell children who are chasing glory an old lie, it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. I looked up that translation for Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. So breaking that down is going to help you better understand it, especially in poems like this where you have a lot of interrupters, a lot of extra information thrown in for imagery purposes, which is very common. And it's also very effective because we really can get a picture in our minds of this, but it makes it harder to understand, so you got to break it down into those parts.